Hello and welcome to another video tutorial Monday. This week I wanted to show you how to make a clean and simple but elegant wedding card. I'm going to a wedding this weekend, so I wanted to make a card for the bride and groom, and I don't know them that well because I am somebody's plus one. So I just wanted to make a really traditional yet simple card for them. So I'm going to start out by measuring my ribbon because I'm going to be making a woven background. I want to measure my ribbon, and it's 1 1/4 inches wide. This ribbon is Silk Ribbon by May Arts. It's SK01. It's in the white color, and I love this. So you want to make sure it will fit in an even number down the card. So this ribbon will fit 4 times down the card because 1.25 times 4 is 5 inches, and that's how long I've made it. Also, width is the same way. 1.25 times 3 is 3.75 inches, so that's how wide I've made it. You can adjust your card size accordingly to the size of your ribbon. You can always stick to how many of your widths you can fit inside a standard size card front, or you could even change it up and make a larger card or a smaller card, whatever you feel like, as long as you do a little bit of math, and all you need is a calculator. So we're going to start out weaving, and I'm going to put adhesive across the side first. This is the back of the cardstock. And then I'm going to cut off some lengths of ribbon. And you want there to be a good 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm going to cut off 4 that are this long, as long as the width. And while I'm at it, I'll cut 3 that are as long as the card. Now we have our ribbon set and ready to go, and I've added adhesive to just this side here, so I'm going to put it across the front, the first row of ribbon, and then just wrap it to the back. And then I'm just going to go all the way down this card, matching it up and making sure that the ribbon is not going to have a seam on the front. And that's why we used white cardstock, because the white cardstock won't really show through if there's a little gap, since it's the same color as the ribbon. So if you're using colored ribbon, make sure you use a similar colored cardstock, unless you're daring. Okay, so we have those. And now we're going to do the same thing across the top with your vertical ribbon. So now that I have these 3 that way and those 4 that way, I can put them down on my work surface. And now it's really as simple as flipping these down. So we're just going to have this one be down first, and this will go over. And then this will be over this one, and then this will be under this one. Okay, and then to hold everything down, we're going to put some more adhesive along this side of the card. So make sure that you get your horizontal ones tight, even if your vertical ones don't want to stay tight, because you're going to be needing to lift those up anyways. Okay, and then you just proceed doing, okay, so this one went over, so this time it's going to need to go under, and then it'll go over this middle one, and then under this last one, and then make sure it lines up on the edge and flip it back over, making it nice and tight. And remember, make the horizontal ones nice and tight, because you can always make the vertical ones tighter later. Okay, now that we have the horizontal ones done, you can flip this over, add some adhesive to the back, where the vertical ones are going to be adhered. And then pull those nice and tight and just make sure they are straight. And so now you have this nice woven background. You can see the beautiful texture here. And by keeping the adhesive off the front, that way the ribbon doesn't bunch in any weird ways. Having it on the back keeps it looking nice and fresh on the front, because you can kind of see the adhesive here through the ribbon. So we like to keep it on the back that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this down to my card. And for some extra security, I'm going to use some of this tape from American Crafts. It's their super sticky tape. I'll have the link to the product in my blog post, of course. And this stuff is really cool. It's very much like score tape, and I just wanted to try something different from score tape. So this tears very easily, and you can adhere it to pretty much anything. And so I'm just going all the way around the edges. This is just going to keep the ribbon really in place and will really help it adhere to the card. Alright, and I did notice you had to kind of burnish down the ends. I used a little bone folder to make sure that you could peel them up a little bit easier. So that is the drawback with this tape specifically. But if it's what you have on hand, it works really wonderfully for this job. You just have to make sure you press down the ends really well so that you can separate the paper from the adhesive. So I'm just going to stick this down. And you don't really need to worry about trimming any excess silk ribbon off the back. It's not very bulky. If you were using any thicker ribbon, you'd want to make sure to trim off any excess ribbon on the back so that it doesn't get bumpy. I'm going to emboss a sentiment, and I just want to do a really simple love. This is from the Hero Arts and Studio Calico My Happy sentiment or stamp set. Okay, and for this I'm going to stamp it in some Versamark, and I'm actually going to stamp it sideways on here so that I can make a little heart and then cut it out afterwards. But I'm just going to start out by using this bigger piece because it'll be easier to work with. And if I would have used my Embossing Magic little embossing buddy, but I think this paper should be fine. And I'm using white embossing powder, so this powder doesn't tend to stick to everything way too easily. So it'll stick to the right areas. And then you just tap off the excess. You can see we have our image here. And I'm just going to zap it with a heat gun and until you can't see any more grains of the embossing powder. And you can see here that it is embossed and there is no more granular look to it. And so now I'm going to go ahead and draw with a pencil. I'm going to draw a heart around it. And I'm going to be very light so that I don't have very much to erase. Now I'll cut out my little heart with my scissors, and I'll start at the point. That's my favorite place to start because I can make sure I'm getting it even. And I'm going to freehand this, and it's not going to be perfect, but I can live with that. And then once you have it cut out, you can trim off any parts that seem a little bit out of place. And then just go in with an eraser. I like to use this one by Staedtler. You can get it at any art supply store. And it's only $1, but it works really, really well. And just erase the pencil lines around the heart. And then to go with it, I'm also going to use this punch by Stampin' Up! And punch out some hearts from the same paper. And then I'll just grab some Pumice Stone Distress ink and ink very lightly around the edges of these hearts. And the goal isn't to make them darker or more, I don't know, less cutesy, but it's definitely to make them stand out from the background because the texture is going to overtake them if there's not something that kind of defines the edge. And then I'll just map out kind of where I want to put them. I think about here looks really nice. And so I'm just going to start out by adding some adhesive to the back, and I'm going to use some really sticky foam adhesive. You want to make sure it'll stick to the ribbon. That's the important part. And I'm just going to use, this adhesive is from Sticky Thumb, by the way, which will also be linked in my post over on my blog. And I'm just going to stick all of these down. And then for that final touch, I'm going to go in with some pearls, and I'm going to apply 3 groups of 3 pearls around the same corner of the card. And I'm just going to cut these pearls apart because these ones from Hero Arts are already come connected, which are really great for when you want to put down a line of pearls, but not so great for when you want to put down a bunch of different size pearls. So I just make 2 cuts in between each pearl, and then remove the adhesive, and then they're good to go. So I'll place these on my card using my X-Acto knife, just like this. Now that I've added my pearls on the card, I just want a little bit more of finishing touches to add to the card. So I'm going to draw some hearts inside of these already existing hearts on my card, and just kind of carefully mimic the shape of that heart, and I'll draw them in. This is my white Signo Uniball pen, by the way. It's the best white pen out there. And also, if you have any areas on your embossing that ended up a little bit sparse, you'd like them to be a little bit thicker, you can go back with the white gel pen over the embossing and fill in those areas. So that's a really cool thing about white embossing, and I do this all the time on sentiments because letters tend to be too thin sometimes to take the embossing powder. So going over with the white gel pen just really helps make it really solid. There we have it. There's the finished card for this week. And I hope you enjoyed this really simple and elegant wedding card. I'm sure the bride and groom will just love it, and it would go great for any wedding because it's very gender neutral and very sweet. So I hope they like it, and thank you very much for watching this week. I will catch you again next week on another Video Tutorial Monday.